Something exciting is happening on Channels Television as from 7 p.m. Sunday, 25th of August, 2019. A new documentary series titled Journey of an African Colony, The Making of Nigeria, will be aired. Trust me, this is one you don't want to miss. For many years, much of Nigeria's history have not been told. For example, over 4 million slaves were captured from the bites of Benin and Biafra, the place currently called Nigeria today. This and many more are revealed in this stunning documentary created by Shukpo Shashore and Kuramo Productions. Shashore is a former Attorney General of Lagos State and the author of 2 books, Possessed and A Platter of Gold. These 2 books form the basis of the documentary. In the first segment, we saw a book adapted from a movie. The Journey of an African Colony is a documentary that is in many ways adapted from 2 books. Watch its full official trailer.
My name is Shukpo Shashore. Along with a gifted team of researchers, I'm going to take you through the timelines of how this great country came to be. Together, we will go back to some big moments in time.
England had a lot to gain from actually taking over Lagos.
The great powers met and they divided up the territory into parcels of land that they then presumed to own.
The idea that Nigeria was somehow made by Lord Frederick Lugard is not correct. The battle that happened that morning, Lugard versus Atahiru.
The war was for protection against enemies.
We shall unearth some hidden or suppressed truths. A British-American engineer had successfully explored for oil in several parts of the world and found his way to Nigeria. We shall learn about the lives of the real people who made history. The Women's War, Ogun Umuwanyi, was actually the women's protest.
This government threw my mother out of window.
West Africa alone contributed over 250,000 men to the Second World War. Nigeria, over 120,000.
We know that the British threatened the chiefs that their own sons should be enlisted if they couldn't find enough men.
We will go to places that have either been forgotten or avoided. Then together we shall debunk some myths. These big men are now subjects of hero worship. We worship them as if they single-handedly founded the country. We will transform not just how you understand this nation to be, but also your understanding of the African continent and the world. Come, let us go on the journey of this African colony.
We got our independence on a platter of gold. Oh, yes.
That's not something you want to miss, is it? A few years ago, we had a session with Shukpo Shashore to discuss A Platter of Gold. Let's take a few clips from that interview.
I write history, and I guess the inspiration for writing history is to unearth, to discover more about the identity of the people of this part of the country, a part of the world. Nigerian history has always intrigued me because for growing up, it was largely hidden from us in the sense that we didn't really have this level of in-depth knowledge about Nigeria and its making as we did about other countries, for instance, Britain and America and the world wars that we were all drilled with in our history curriculum. So that's probably where the original inspiration came from. But this particular book is a result of the investigation into the colony of Lagos. So really, this is a continuing story of the creation of Nigeria, and which I think started with Lagos.
Lord Lugard, who led most of those takeovers, violent takeovers, is often taught in our schools, or was taught in our schools when we still had history, as a hero. But your book here paints him in a very different light, defines him or explains him in a very different light. Were you trying to redefine Lugard?
Not at all. Welcome to the real Lord Lugard. And actually, he wasn't even a lord when he had anything to do with Nigeria. He was captain, and then he became Sir Frederick Lugard. He became a lord much later, after he'd retired from Nigeria and service. So in the context of Nigerian history, he's not Lord Lugard, and people often do that. So it's just some inaccuracies. He's not a Nigerian hero. He's not a hero of Nigerian history. He's a central figure in how the country came about, but not for heroic reasons. You are right, he was a desperate, very brutal and violent man who had very little regard for the native Africans who inhabited the territory that later became Nigeria. Very little regard for them, for their life or their well-being. He had a mission. It's often said that the morality of a nation is based on its public, on its own personal interest. So, to him, he could dispense with your sense of morality, as long as it didn't disturb his objectives. So, I guess a man in his time, in the Victorian age, could explain killing natives in order to achieve the imperial conquest. But I resent the fact that certain monuments are named after him. Not that he should be erased from our history. Good Lord, no. I'd never say take away streets that are named after him. But I resent that the Kogi House of Assembly sits in a building called Lugard House. I resent that the Governor's Lodge in Kaduna State is called Lugard Hall or Lugard House. It is just not right that the symbol of our democracy should be celebrated around a figure that was such a villain in our history.
Look out for that documentary on Channels Television as from Sunday, 25th of August at 7 p.m. Coming up on the next episode of Channels Book Club, political economist Professor Pat Utomi joins us to discuss his new book titled, Why Not? It is revealing, provocative, and explosive. Professor Utomi held nothing back, and his new book will certainly generate a lot of controversies. From known political leaders, educated elites, and business tycoons to the ruling political party, Professor Utomi took them on.
Nigeria is dying because it's not run by people who think. That is the truth. It is not. Let me give you a simple example, which I've used this way. Nigeria is about to go, whether people understand this or not. In the next 2 years, Nigeria could be talking to the IMF again. That's how bad the Nigerian economy is. That's the track it's traveling. I did not hear any conversation like that in the 2019 election. Oil is about to become a non-factor in global economics. I hyperbole a little bit, but the truth of the matter, Americans used to be the biggest importers of our oil. They don't import any from us anymore. They don't need to. They have become exporters because of shale. Everybody is talking about leaving fossil fuels. Most cars in a few years will be running on batteries. Lithium is the word. And we are getting ready and worrying about how we're sharing oil revenues. We're not diversifying the base of Nigeria's production, thinking a grand strategy. We think an election on the eve of Industry 4.0, first of next year. The world is officially in the fourth industrial revolution, where the key factors are artificial intelligence and all those kinds of things that will reduce jobs, that will do all of this. Did you see one person have a conversation around it during the election? You think that kind of country can survive? It cannot.
This is where we have to stop today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.